Hello Internet, 60x Self, here to talk about Persona 5 again. As always, there's gonna be spoilers. Now that we're about 30 or 40 hours in, I'm in the third dungeon, palace. I think it's gonna get more from here. These tend to be kind of long, I'm learning, so let's just jump right in. With some help from the reporter whom I thought was going to turn out to be Yukiko, same voice actress, similar face, but is actually a new character named Oya, the squad discovers the identity of the mafia boss we are searching for. Just to recap a little bit, Makoto, the student council president, has threatened us with exposure if we don't find this mafia boss and stop them. His name is Junya Kaneshiro. I hope at some point I'm getting any of these Japanese names right. We also, speaking of Makoto, get to see a little bit of her home life, and it sucks. Her older sister Sai, again the prosecutor who is interviewing us, that is the flashback for the entire game we're playing, is a real jerk. There's a lot of resentment, clearly, over having to raise her younger sister after the death of their father. So anyway, Makoto, in a bid to be useful after her verbal beatdown from her sister, dives headfirst into a meeting with Junya Kaneshiro, who is a really odd dude. Definitely a really bad dude. He keeps sex slaves until they bore him and then sells them to other people, along with all the other teenage girls he sells into sex slavery. Real bad dude. So anyway, remember, he works through blackmail. So he gets a picture of the squad and Makoto, who is definitely joining the squad, in the club, surrounded by drugs, alcohol, and tobacco. And he threatens to expose those pictures, send them to their families, to the school, to the media, unless they get him 3 million yen in 3 weeks. It's at this point on our way home from the club that Makoto gets a little weird and starts to spill her guts. Just give up her entire life story to these strangers. It's honestly a little bit out of the blue. But now we know all about Makoto, and she fits right in with the squad, a whole bunch of kind of put upon losers. Lovable, but losers. So Morgana talks us into bringing her along with us to the metaverse. And immediately upon entering the metaverse, gets it. Understands the connection between mind palaces and cognition, connects all of the dots, understands distorted views and perceptions. It just figures it all out. And that's why she is the student council president. The squad finds Kaneshiro's palace, which is a giant bank on top of a flippin' UFO in the sky. The people inside and the people all around it are ATMs, because that's how Kaneshiro sees people, walking things to get money out of. And we gain a new team member, Makoto. And Makoto is fantastic. Way less difficulty accepting her persona than anyone else so far. A lot less screaming, a lot less pain. Also, her persona is a motorcycle named Johanna. How cool is that? Holy crow, I'm kind of loving this new teammate. Super rad. So anyway, that's where we're at with the story. We need to get into the bank, defeat Kaneshiro. So a thing I'm noticing with Persona 5, there are a lot more days where you don't have a choice in what you do. There are more scripted days. At least that's how it feels right now. So it causes the game to feel a little more linear. On the other hand, it seems like when you do have more free time, you have a lot more things you can choose to do. So it seems to be a little bit of give and take. The story feels more linear, even though it's no more or less linear than past Persona games, but there's a larger breadth of things to do with the free time you are given. I've potentially unlocked a new area, Shinjuku, and it has a tarot card reader. And you know she's important because she has a picture, which usually means important character. So I can't wait to find out what's going on with her, considering how important tarot cards are to Persona in general. Otherwise, playing the game has been very similar. You crawl through dungeons, defeat shadows, collect new shadows, fuse those shadows into even more new shadows, gain experience, gain money. But again, maybe that's just kind of how things feel right now because I don't have a lot of control over Yoshi's free time. So it seems like the metaverse and Mementos are the things available right now. Quick aside, Mementos is kind of like the tower from Persona 3. You go deeper into this dungeon that's unlocked as the story progresses, and you get little side quests of characters, people whose hearts need to be changed, but none of them have been super memorable so far. It's mostly just a place to grind and level up. But anyway, dungeon crawling has been mostly what I'm doing. Well, I'm getting pretty tired of going to buy weapons, which is a weird complaint, I'm sure. The potential for a new confidant was presented early on with the weapon shop dealer, but I don't have a high enough guts stat. So again, there are 5 character attribute stats: knowledge, charm, kindness, guts, and knowledge. Each of those personality stats has 5 levels. I'm currently level 3 in guts, and that is not high enough to start his confidant storyline. So every time I go to see him, I run through a lot of text, basically leading up to his confidant storyline, and then bottoming out because my guts is not a high enough level. Super irritating. And considering, again, I'm 3rd of 5, it's going to be a bit before I finally get to him. Another thing that I was very excited about was the potential of connection between Persona 4 and Persona 5. The Persona games tend to be fairly disconnected. There's little nods back to other characters from Persona 4 to Persona 3. Same in Persona 3, there's references to characters in Persona 2. And then Persona 2 is the only one that had direct connections with characters from Persona 1. So I thought that reporter character, Oya, was going to be Yukiko because, again, the face was very similar and the voice actress is definitely the same person. But unless she changed her name to become a reporter, I don't think it's her. However, I think that speaks to the overall feelings I have about the Persona 4 characters versus the Persona 5 characters. Persona 4 was a very strong main cast, while Persona 5 so far, I care a lot more about the side characters, and the main cast is kind of boring to me. Maybe that's because they retread a lot of the same tropes. And maybe that's going to pick up. I'm very interested in Makoto, so we're going to see if that goes off. But so far, I don't really care about Ryuji, Ann, Morgana, or Yusuke. And these are the characters providing the majority of the story so far. I do have a theory about the black masked person that Madarame talked about. So early in the game, there's talk about mental shutdowns and nervous breakdowns in characters. Trains are crashing as people suddenly not fall asleep exactly, but just shut down. And Morgana early on warns the squad about causing this to happen. It's a risk when they're changing someone's heart. And we very nearly do so with Kamoshida because there's some concern about Ann killing him. So I think the black masked person is at fault for this, and the squad is eventually going to have to confront them. Whether they're the big bad or the underling, we'll see, but definitely going to be an important character, definitely going to be a villain. They're running around the metaverse as well, going into palaces, changing hearts of people who may not necessarily be bad, but changing them as a means to their own ends, which will probably be something awful like crushing kittens or stepping on puppies or something really bad. Anyway, time will tell with that. So if you're enjoying this, me talking about the video game, trying to avoid the content strikes from Atlus, thanks for the warning though. The warning that was definitely not a threat. Anyway, if you're enjoying it, click that like button. If you're really enjoying it, you can subscribe to me here. You can watch my last video here. You can see all the other Persona 5 progress updates here. And hey, I'm going to put another random person to subscribe to here. So I hope everybody is having a good time. I hope you're having a great life. Enjoy all my other videos and stay chill. Bye, Internet.